freedom deal.
They're going to take first, second, and third.
If you believe that, I got a nice farm there to tell you about 15 miles west of you. Here's our theme song. All the children. One last word.
I haven't had it. I just made up all the different chips. We had this all like 41.
Few areas that are low average, like
one thing that all students have in common is the beautiful campus. I know that traveling across the United States and seeing a lot of different campuses from the east to the west coast, I found few that rival the beauty I found on the University of Utah. It's just kind of a nice place sometimes just to go for a walk and to see the landscaping and the way that it's a walk on campus with all your major roads on the outside of the campus instead of in the middle, so you have to cross busy streets is another really big advantage. It's kind of sometimes just a central place like a little town.
It's a credit to the university that there is a place where different ideas, different subjects can be discussed. I'm not suggesting that people throw off their traditional values or anything like that, but I'm suggesting complete education involves exposure to almost every facet of life.
They have such a wide selection of very good professors. Some are notable even across the United States, for example, Henry Eyring. If a student is really careful, they can plan their schedule so that they will get some of the very finest teachers in the country.
I've learned a lot, and a lot of what I've learned hasn't been in the classroom. It's been through exposure to people with differing ideas, people from out of state, people from different countries, people who don't think the same way I do. Yeah.
To eliminate all the negative aspects of 30 years of the continuation of the state of peace. But this alone will not bring peace to the area. The peace has to be translated into the life of every individual on both sides.
Are you getting an idea for that? Now the next step is how you come to an assessment of the growth potential of the company. All right? So you say, gee, the potential is super. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? If everybody did that, everybody would be buying Levi Strauss right now because the price-earnings ratios are around 5. So what's wrong? Do you feel comfortable with that?
Now, in looking at this phenomena, they found that it did, in fact, have discernible rules, that it wasn't just poor English, that there did appear to be some rules in this phenomena of black English. I think that you should be familiar with this phenomena, and I think you should be familiar with some of the arguments, pro and con, in terms of its validity, in terms of its value.
All right. Here we go again. All right. Go ahead.
This is a drawing which is chaotic, it's confused, it's a drawing which is made by a schizophrenic, and that is a person who is disorganized, and is confused and disoriented and so forth, and they're projecting the inner status of their psychic life into the picture here. A few years ago I got a Christmas card, and it happened to be from a woman that was psychotic. I got to find out which way is up and so forth. And this woman is an artist, but she's also psychotic, and in a sense this is represented here in a combination certainly of beauty and aesthetic quality, but also of confusion and lack of organization and control and so forth.
You know, a lot of people don't expect a school right in the middle of state school, state-supported institution, to be that good of a school. They say, how does it stack up to Harvard or Stanford or one of the finer private schools? Actually, the university stacks up quite well on both its undergraduate and graduate levels. For example, the medical schools is known across the country as being a very good medical school. People such as Dr. Clifford C. Snyder has the foremost snakebite clinic in the whole world, and there's a lot of other noted people, for example, artificial organs and things like that, are known nationwide for their excellence. Also, the undergraduate and the graduate programs in the sciences that I know of stack up very well. I'm talking to graduate students that came from other areas. They told me that the thing that attracted them to Utah was its academic excellence. You know, skiing, etc., apart. Now, although it does have those advantages, it still is academically a very excellent school.
And almost every speaker, it will not look the same. And that's called distortion. So every speaker introduces something of its own. And that's one of the problems of having what you would like to have a speaker that doesn't do anything to the tone. If you put a sine wave, it will come out as a sine wave. If you put a square wave, it will look like a square wave.
There's a whole notion of what a society requires to maintain its own functioning kinds of levels. And what has been deemed a surplus above and beyond human subsistence is now being seen as necessary for society, and therefore not actually a surplus in the classical sense of surplus.
Yeah, and what do we see now? When we look at hunters and gatherers, we discovered that actually they have a lot of time on their hands, that the economic problem is not so difficult to solve, and that they dance and sing. And that, as a matter of fact, probably hunters and gatherers in general were at least as healthy, if not more so, than most people living in the contemporary world.